when your goal is we're going to go traveling for 2 years and we need to save as much money as possible, then it becomes so much easier. Sell everything that you don't need. And I think that's a great metaphor for life anyway. Yeah. We carry too much around with us. I mean, even better, don't buy it in the first place. I think there's a massive, massive difference between people taking their kids on holiday and then kids who are just off school for no real particular reason. Yeah. Not only do you get a fine, you get a strike against your name for a DBS failure. And that DBS is failing to safeguard your child's education. But how it shows up is it just shows up as failing to safeguard a child. That then limits where you can travel because you can't go to America with a record. Like, they're really funny about letting people in, particularly if it says failing to safeguard a child. Yeah. And you're at the airport going, oh, no, it wasn't that, mate. It was...
Let me explain.
Let me explain. I tried to take him to Egypt to show him the pyramids. Or the other option was we could deregister him from school. So what we did in the end is we looked into it, and in 20 years' time, the key skill is going to be problem solving, because you're not going to need to remember anything, because you can just put it in and an AI or something will tell you everything you need to know about every single subject that's ever happened. But where the skill is going to come in asking the right question to that AI to get out what you need. And I think analytical skills and problem solving is going to be key to that.
Hi, Oli. You're about to embark on something that I guess lots of people dream of and maybe even talk about, but never actually get round to doing. It's one of those things of, maybe people live with that regret eventually, but, go and tell me what are you about to do and why?
Okay, so 1 week today, me, my wife and our 8-year-old son are going to travel for 2 years in like one block of just constant travel.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of questions there, because I guess lots of people go travelling sort of after uni or after college, before they've got any responsibilities, before they've got jobs, before they've got kids, mortgages, whatever. No offence, you're a bit further along in life. Sure. You've got married, you've got a child. Yeah. So how's that come about?
So we've always travelled. So Beck and I, but even before each other, we were travelling. She did the Trek America kind of thing, where she went for sort of 6 months and visited, I think, 34 or more of the states in America. She's also been to Australia and Singapore and Borneo and done a lot of travelling. I'd obviously travelled widely and spent a year in Australia as well when I was younger. So we travelled again together. So when we got together, we travelled and we did a lot of European cities and some of the ones you might not have been to, sort of Riga and Gothenburg and all places like that, Bratislava, because we'd already been and done sort of Paris and Rome and the traditional ones, Berlin. And when we decided to have a child, we wanted to have a family that fit in with that lifestyle. One of the main reasons for only having one was the affordability and being able to travel and the expense that comes with that. But it was always that we wanted him to fit in with our lifestyle, rather than people will go, oh, yeah, but you can have more than one because you get by. And we were never like, I don't ever want to just get by. It's the whole thriving and surviving thing. So is your life, are you surviving your life or are you thriving in life? And having one meant we could thrive and we could do a lot of the things we wanted to do. So then we would travel with him, and I think the first 2 years, like before he was 2, I think we'd been to like 4 or 5. He'd been to like 4 or 5 different countries, and then COVID hit, and it changed everything. And we had kind of 2 years where we couldn't really go anywhere. But it was that whole thing of keep thinking, oh, it's going to end soon. It's going to end soon. Yeah. Like at some point we'll be able to go traveling again. And maybe had we known how long that was going to be or whatever, then we might have had another. Yeah. But we ended up not. And then he got to an age where the gap was quite big and it wouldn't have really worked. And then we could get traveling again. So we were like, right, let's get out as soon as we can. Got back to going traveling. And that kind of led to just more and more going away, and then everything changed with the schools. It used to be, I mean, we were saying earlier, it used to be a fine. So you would get a fine and then you could just pay the fine, and it was a bit of grief, but it didn't really matter. You'd pay the fine and go away.
Yeah.
Then it changed to not only do you get a fine, you get a strike against your name for a DBS failure. And that DBS is failing to safeguard your child's education. But how it shows up is it just shows up as failing to safeguard a child, which is like a hideous thing to have a record. So you could have, you'd basically get 3 strikes in a year. And Beck and I both work in the financial industry and have done for a number of years. And DBS failures is like, you cannot have that and still work for them. So it would mean if we were to keep living how we were living and going to like 4 or 5 places a year, obviously some of that in term time, because you couldn't not do that. Then it would be a problem and we would get this DBS failure. And then that means that then limits where you can travel, because you can't go to America with a record. Like, they're really funny about letting people in, particularly if it says failing to safeguard a child. And you're at the airport going, oh, no, it wasn't that, mate. It was...
Let me explain.
Let me explain. I tried to take him to Egypt to show him the pyramids. So we were just like, we're going to have to do something different. And then it kind of fell into 3 things. So there was 3 big things we needed to sort out. One was we needed to work. So like I said, we both worked for a local company for probably 20 years. And we knew they offered a sabbatical or a career break. So we had to work out which one was the best fit for us. And it turned out a sabbatical was up to 2 years.
Okay.
So we were like, well, we'll ask them for 2 years and they'll probably say 1 and we'll negotiate down to 1 if we have to. So that was kind of the first big thing. So we put in for the sabbatical and we said, we'd like to have 2 years. And they said, yeah, that's fine. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, happy for us to go for 2 years. But yeah, it's really helped us out because it's just given us so many options. The next big thing was we had a camper van at the time. So we needed someone to buy it. We needed to sell the camper van. And we was a bit worried about how that goes. You never really know, selling like a sort of high ticket item. And we found a really lovely lady, Halsham, who I think had pretty much bought it before she even come to look at it. So she came and she bought that. So that was number 2. And then the third thing was the house. We needed someone to rent the house out because that's going to give us like a bit of passive income while we're away. And the guy that was doing it for us, there was sort of nothing. And then all of a sudden one day he rang us up. It was like 2 people have put in that they want it. So you're going to have to choose between them. So that was a good position to be in.
So things started to sort of line up.
Yeah.
So,
like everything kind of come together.
Yeah. So from the time you sort of initially had this idea, I guess putting in for the time off work was the first thing. And then from then to now, how long has that been?
So weirdly, you'll think this is odd, but we decided in October last year that this was going to happen.
Okay.
So it was a really, really quick process. It wasn't like we've been planning it for years. Because like I say, we were quite happy living life, live a good life, like around, and we were happy just doing these breaks. And it really was the threat of the schooling, the DBS checks that made us say, no, we're going to have to do something completely different. So we kind of set up a plan. If we are going to go in 10 months, what do we need to do? And we just wrote this massive list of notes, like things that need to be doing. It was like, do the roof on the gym, like fix the roof on the gym, fix the downpipes on the guttering, like everything, jet wash the patios, like all these things that all needed doing before we could go. And then every like time we would do something, we would tick it off. You know, that like celebrating small wins. When you climb Everest, you don't want to have like climb Everest as the only thing. You need to have like get to base camp, tick that off, and then the next stage, tick that off. And it was the same with this. We just mapped out kind of everything we needed to do. The money was strange because we didn't really know what we need. And even now, I don't entirely know what we need.
I mean, how's that going to work? So you're going to have a bit of passive income from the house rental.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, you don't know quite how much you're going to need. So how are you balancing that with how you're going to raise the money to do it?
So in a kind of strange way, in terms of what we're balancing, we have worked out the best way to look at it is if you do £10 a day on food.
Yeah.
Right? So if you said your food budget's £10 a day, so there's 3 of you, so £10 a day doesn't seem a lot, but I mean, we're kind of mostly going to be going to Southeast Asia. We're starting off in Morocco, and I'll explain the kind of rough plan we've got in a bit. But in Southeast Asia, you probably can, £10 a day probably isn't too far off what we'll all need. Yeah. But if you say £10 a day, that's £300 a month, just at £10 a day.
Yeah.
So then if you scale that to £10 a day each, which again doesn't seem excessive,
no,
but all of a sudden that's £900.
Yeah.
So the food's gone from 300 to 900. Then you've got to throw accommodation in on top.
Yep.
To give you a clue on that, our apartment in Bangkok is £630 a month, I think. Okay. Which, I mean, compared to what you pay here is nothing. Low, but that still means if you did the £600 plus the £10 a day each, you've hit your 1,500 quid already. And where we're kind of working is somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 a month.
Yep.
Is what we're thinking it might cost. So we need to kind of find a way to generate income. So we've got a number, and what's difficult for us is going from a PAYE job where all your income comes from one place.
Yeah.
And then that defines what you've got each month. Whereas now we're looking at a more like gig economy where we might get a bit of money in from here, a bit of money in from there. So whether that's through like buy me an ice cream or like one of those type things, or it's from content creation, whether that's UGC or more influencer based.
Yeah.
So just to define those, the UGC stuff, and this is where I got confused. You can effectively create content and be paid to promote it. So it would be on your site, like on your Instagram, on your profile, and you would say, oh, I stayed in this really nice place and whatnot, and you could get some money for that. But the other way is, and I think what people don't realise is that you don't need a massive, massive following to do UGC, which is user-generated content. So that's where the company will say, oh, I really love what you're making. Can you make us like a short reel about it, a 20-second reel? You effectively just sell it to them, and they promote that however they want across their advertising. So that wouldn't even go on we wouldn't even put that on our Instagram or on our feed or anything. And I think that is probably where we're going to be more focused on the kind of user-generated content and derive income from that. Because if you get 1 or 2 a month, and that's sort of £300 to £600, that sort of plugged that missing gap in what we've got. Because the idea is to get to a point where we're not using our savings. Yeah. So we're not using what we've saved up over the last year. We're bringing in income to plug that gap between what we do get from the house and what we think we'll ultimately
savings
need a month.
Stay as that emergency fund.
Yeah, exactly.
For anything that's needed. I mean, let's reverse just a little bit onto the school system and the way that's changed. Because I guess, is this sort of a case of there was a good meaning behind the policy, but just badly implicated or badly sort of put together so that actually it ends up punishing people who are trying to educate their children and open them up to the views of the world. Because I guess the theory behind it was that people are just letting their kids have days off school, and we need some way, the fine isn't doing it, we need some way to try and clamp down. So you can see the thought process behind it, but we all know that educational visits, I mean, even schools run them, but they're just a one day to a local museum. You're just expanding that.
Look, I mean, schools are trying to do their best. I think fundamentally the school system and the government backed bits behind it to try and get people to go to school, they are not doing it to just try and be horrible. No. Like, they want every kid to go to school as much as possible. And I think particularly since COVID and lockdown, it's got dramatically worse. And there's probably a number of reasons behind that. I think in the past, most parents would be at work all day, every day. So the kids are like, oh, I don't want to go in today. And you're like, well, you're going to have to go in because I'm not going to be here. I'm going to work. Yeah. Whereas now a lot of the parents are at home. So maybe it makes it a bit easier. I think there's a massive, massive difference between people taking their kids on holiday and on cultural trips, you could say, but
Yeah.
I get it. It is a holiday. And then kids who are just off school for no real particular reason.
Yeah.
And I think what they want to target is those kids who are off school for no real particular reason. But you can't implement one thing for one person and one thing for someone else.
No. I guess they're almost applying for a sabbatical for your child's education.
Yeah. The strange thing is, right, if you deregister your child from school, so that's what you need to do. So to take your kid out, you have to deregister them. And it's almost like once they're deregistered, no one really cares. Like we worked out, so last year we were going, before Christmas, we were going to go to the Philippines, and I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks of term time that he was going to be out. We were going to the Philippines, but then we were back for about 4 or 5 days, and then we was going to Geneva for like 2 or 3 days, like Christmas, like in the snow, and up to see Santa in the mountains, and then it was the Christmas holidays. So our options were just take him out, pay the fine, risk getting the first strike R3, or the other option was we could deregister him from school. So what we did in the end is we looked into it, and the risks with deregistering are they may not get back into the school that they left out of.
Lose your school place.
You effectively lose your school place. So what counters are there to that? Is there more than one school in your catchment area? Yeah. If the answer is no, then they can't really lose their school place because the school has to accept them when you try and put them back in. And then is this class oversubscribed? So how many kids are in the class? So usually they work that on 30. But we have seen on occasions that they'll allow up to 32.
Okay, yeah.
So when we were about to go to the Philippines, we only had one school in our catchment area. There was 28 kids in the class. So what it meant was that if we took Jax out, for him not to get back in when we got back, something crazy would have to have happened. Yeah. So we deregistered him. And then while we was away, we just went online. It's a really simple online process to put them back in. You just apply for his place again. So no fine, no mark against us for DBS. And the school were like, no one's ever done this to go on holiday. And we were like, you're making us do this.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to do it. Like, we would have probably just paid the fine, but the DBS check thing is too big of a risk.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what happens between then and when we plan to go away next year. So yeah, we took him out, we registered him to go back in, and he started again in the new year. And the weird thing was, they do a lot of assessments, and they'd assessed him before he went away. And when they assessed him when he got back, it actually improved. So, I mean, he got better. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you travel for the 2 years, I mean, talking about that education, you know, are there any plans there?
Yeah, so it's a big part of it. And one of the biggest things we've got is that we really, really quickly need to change the mindset from we're on holiday to we live in other countries.
Yeah.
So schooling is a big part of that. We've reached out to a company called Doodle who do at school they use Doodle Maths. I don't know if you've heard of that. A lot of the school learning is app based now. So they have like TT Rockstars and Doodle Maths and all these things.
Know about it.
So we're going to carry all that on. So we spoke to this company Doodle. They've given us like free access to the site for a couple of years. And he'll carry that on. So he'll do Doodle Maths, Doodle English. He's already learning Spanish on Duolingo.
Yeah.
So his writing is going to be journaling. So he will journal every day about what he did the day before.
Yeah.
In a book, like with pen and paper, the traditional way. Every now and again, when he fills one up, we'll just post it back home for someone to put away for us, so we don't have to carry it around. So yeah, he's going to be doing. Whilst it's not like the core curriculum, it's like maths, English, a language.
Yeah.
And all those sort of things, like the kind of cultural aspect will be like if we're visiting somewhere with different religions and temples and things, learning about that. Same with the history. So the history of the country that we've been to, like the geography, like when we're up in the mountains of like Kazakhstan or whatever, and learning about the steppe and stuff and the history of the Mongols and the Silk Roads and all those sort of things. It's so much easier when it's led by him. I don't know if you found this, but having someone just talk to you for 2 hours about something that you're not even interested in, I don't think you're going to learn like that. And I certainly know I struggled with it. Whereas if he asks us a question, oh, so what happened here or whatever, like if we're in Cambodia and he's like, oh, so what happened here? And we can talk to him about like the sort of Khmer Rouge and the killing fields and stuff and be like, yeah, this happened like fairly recently. That's got to be better in terms of absorbing it and taking it in. If you've asked the question and then you learn about that. Yeah. So yeah, that's how we're kind of gearing up to do his education.
Yes, you know, schools, exactly like you said, you know, there's really good intentions. And in fact, there's some great teachers and they want them to have a great education. But that education is very much limited to being able to remember information and pass a test. Whereas we found out as we're adults, you know, like not many people ask me how my GCSEs went. You know, there's more about you as a rounded individual. You know, do you respect other cultures? Do you, you know, get on with other people? Are you able to, you know, have people skills, I guess? And actually those are developed in the real world. So you're implementing those quite early, I suppose.
I think the thing you've got to realise is from when you and I were at school, you won't mind me saying how long ago that was, but like sort of 20, 25 years ago, what the world was like then compared to what the world's like now. Yeah. So like Jax is 8 now, and in 20 years time, what is the world going to be like in 20 years time? You've already seen like a massive increase in AI. When we were at school, you won't have a calculator in your pocket all the time. Like, of course we have got a calculator in our pocket. And Beck and I both had different experiences at school. So I found school relatively easy. And the reason for that was I've got good memory. So for taking a test, give me the book of answers, I'll memorize it, and then I'll go in the test and do well at it. Whereas problem solving, like how on earth am I going to do this? I wasn't ever really very good at that. Whereas Beck was kind of the other way round. So she perhaps didn't find it as easy to remember and pass exams, but for coursework or for solving challenges or making something happen, she's brilliant at it and still brilliant at it now. And Jax is sort of probably closer towards me. So he's good at remembering, like he will just remember everything and pass the test and stuff, but perhaps not so good at the problem solving. And I think in 20 years time, the key skill is going to be problem solving, because you're not going to need to remember anything, because you can just put it in and an AI or something will tell you everything you need to know, like about every single subject that's ever happened. But where the skill is going to come in asking the right question to that AI to get out what you need. And I think analytical skills and problem solving is going to be key to that. And I'm hoping going away will really help him with that, because he will be able to like solve problems, and he'll be meeting kids from all over the world, and he's going to have to just get on with them. And as you know, you don't always get on with everyone, but that's going to be something that he's going to have to pick up while we're going around.
Yeah, and I guess exactly like you say, what the world's going to be like in 20 years' time, but equally what jobs are going to be available. And you already mentioned there, like UGC content creation. This isn't something that anyone was doing really when we were at school. You know, there were celebrities doing some adverts on TV because they were well known. But in fact, what's happening now with getting paid for your social media posts and, you know, being able to travel and stay in a hotel, and even the hotel can pay for that and let you stay for free because you've done a post. Yeah, these are new jobs. And that's, one way that you're gonna fund this, I guess.
So the content creation is key, and he's kind of a big part of that, and I think it's going to really set him up. So he already sees us doing a lot of content creation. So the Instagram account and website that we've got, so it's jax.familytravels on Instagram and jaxfamilytravels.com on the website. Those two areas are kind of key income streams for us. And the content that we create at the moment is all about gaining new followers on Instagram. And is it the kind of content we would ultimately both love to make, right? Probably not. Probably not. And I mean, you'll know this. the world of content creation and Instagram is just crackers, like absolutely crazy. You will spend 3 days going out and shooting the most brilliantly scripted 20 to 30 second reel about so one we did recently with Jax is about how we were leaving and he was in it, and the challenges of working with children is difficult, trying to get them to understand the nuances of how you say something. It was interesting. So we'd go out and shoot it, and we'd take it home, edit it, craft it, get it all ready to go, release it onto social media, and it maybe gets like 2,000 or 3,000 views, right? And you're like, what? I spent ages on this. And then you'll be sitting there one afternoon, you'll be like, oh my God, I haven't got an idea. I haven't got any ideas of what reel to make. Okay, I'll just chuck this out. And you just take one short 7-second clip of someone walking through the airport, and you'll put one hook over the top of it and like a bit of something in the caption, but nothing like amazing. It's just the first thing you thought of. And then you look at it like 2 or 3 days later and it's got like 2 million views. You're like, what? Like, why? Like, why has that happened? Like, why has it picked that one? Why has Instagram chosen to show that one reel to everyone when it didn't pick this one? And I think that's something that we're going to get better at as we go around is at sitting and analysing it. Because at the moment, all that stuff's just a hobby. So Beck's done really well driving that, and we're just under 8,000 at the moment. I know she really wants to get to 8,000 before we go away. And we need a few hundred to get there. But it's taking it to that next step. And we don't really want to be those influencers, you know, like hundreds of thousands of followers and, buy this. So I saw someone once, right, who I think she just got up and she was doing something, moving around in her house and talking about what her plan was for the day. And then the next story was like, loads of you have asked me where I got my duvet from. So like, here's the link to where I got my duvet. And I can't get my head around how people would be like, God, I love that duvet. I need that duvet. Like, I'm going to go and buy that particular duvet that person's got. So I don't think either of us want to be that person. No. But the trouble is it goes hand in hand. So the more followers you've got, easier it is to pick up the UGC stuff. And that's kind of what we want to use it for at the moment. So we're creating content at the moment with a view to gaining followers. Whereas
to generate that social proof, because it is that tricky one of, you know, someone might put out some really good content, you know, an educational piece. You know, I do quite a few educational pieces, but because my followers are small, people are like, but actually I'm going to listen to this other guy who's got 20, 30, 50, 100,000 followers, even though we said the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
You know, but his voice is more important because he's got more followers. So although followers is a bit of a strange metric now, it does add that social proof, doesn't it?
Yeah, the other thing is there are a lot of accounts with a lot of followers who you just think, oh my God, like I couldn't be that person. Like they've just completely like sold out. They've either sold out or they're just like not the sort of people you would want to meet. So there's a few travel influencers, and I mean you look at like kind of Mashtag and some of the people like that. Perhaps not him. Like I don't know. I haven't seen enough of his content, but there's another one I've seen particularly recently. And if we had gone to school with him, we would cross the road to avoid him.
Okay,
Like we honestly, we would be like, no, I don't want to talk to him. Like, God, he's like this and like that. Yet for some reason, he's got like 60, 70,000 followers. And you wonder if people are watching it from the point of view of, oh God, like what's he going to say now? Or like, how bad's this or how bad's that? And we just really don't want to be like that. Like we want our stuff to be like educational and inspirational, I guess is the word. Like we could do this as well. Like there's no reason why we can or can't do that.
People actually connect with a real you, because that's sometimes the thing. We either look at accounts that, you know, are so inspirational but almost out of reach, and then others you feel like, you know what, they've done it. I could actually do this.
And I think that sort of ties in back to where we started originally, which is why are we doing this? Right. And that's kind of another key thing is that the country now, and again, it ties in with the thriving and surviving, but everyone seems to be furious. Constantly. Like constantly. And I was like, last night I was trying to think, like, what is everyone so angry about? And I get that they're angry about perhaps what's going on in like Palestine or whatever at the moment, or Ukraine. And I think rightly so to be angry about that. But how does that manifest itself in your drive to Tesco's? So people will be driving to Tesco's and they won't let anyone out. They're like pulling right up to the car in front so that no other person can get in front of them, like shouting and screaming at people and waving their arms like if someone tries to come out. And then when they get in Tesco's, they're like 100 miles an hour around the shop, pushing people out of the way. If you're queuing to look at the yellow sticker stuff, someone will be like almost pushing you across so that you can't get in and get what you're looking at. And I think, why are people just so angry all the time? Yeah. And it's everything, nights out, like the people fighting on nights out. And it's not like, I can just see how you get boiled up in that. Yeah. It doesn't help that everyone you ever ring, every company, everyone who works for every company, it isn't trying to do their best to help you. They're trying to do the minimum they can do without getting sacked. Yeah. So if you ring someone, say you need something at like an insurance company or something, you ring them up and you say, oh, can you do this, this and this? They go, yeah, okay, nice one. Yeah, I'll get all that sorted for you. Yeah, nice one, mate. Put the phone down and then nothing. It's as if you haven't even rung them. Yeah. And it's strange. Like, it's really strange. Everyone's furious. Everyone's in a mad panic. And no one seems to particularly be trying to do a job like to help other people. It's all very self-centered. And I haven't experienced that in the rest of the world.
Do you think it is? I mean, because the cost of living is a big issue here in the UK. Yeah. And I mean, funny enough, I was thinking almost an exact same thing a couple of weeks ago. That I was trying to work out why the country feels so divided and everyone's trying to find someone to blame and things like that. And I sort of think like, is it just that we don't feel our lives are getting any better and financially it's hard? Exactly like you say, you phone up and it's, you can't get anything done. Yeah. Roads are falling apart and we just feel like frustrated with life. And then what happens is rather than coming together and actually finding solutions, we really isolate ourselves and take it out on everyone else.
Yeah. Do you know why? So all I can think of is the old adage of divide and conquer. Yeah. Like, as a group of people, the population is too powerful. Like 60 million people, or however many there are in the UK now, together could achieve anything, right? Yeah. So for example, to take it back to like the Palestine thing, when they were trying to say, look, get a ceasefire, stop Israel, and I mean, they still are, as we speak, trying to do that. If we all said, every single person in the country said, right, well, we're not going back to work tomorrow until you stop, right? How long does it take? Yeah. How long does it really take? Like, if no one worked, how long would it really take? And they could say, but they could just replace you. Well, they can't replace you if everyone says, I'm not working. Like, they can't replace everyone. There isn't enough people. And I mean, they might bring in some sort of AI and it would cause some problems, but how quick are they going to do that in terms of the short-term problem? I mean, a few people in a few industries. If everyone just did it, it would stop. And I think that the other thing is, if you're scared and angry, what do you do if you're scared and angry and you're not happy with the life you live in and you think there's loads of challenges? How do you overcome that? What is the fix for that? Where do you get the dopamine or whatever that you need to feel better? You know, buy something, anything. Whether that's food at the supermarket, which is where like we worked out all our money went. Yeah. So it was like, when I went through it, it was like, where have I spent all this money? It turned out it was all in Tesco's, just going in every day to buy groceries. Or it's more big ticket things. So someone might say, if I buy a car, I'll be happy. And then you buy it. And then I think you were talking to someone about this recently, where they said, you buy that car and then you're like, I love this car. And then in a few weeks, you've got a coffee cup on the floor and then you think, maybe the next car I get, I'll be happy. Yeah. So I think what they've done, and I think what the Western society has done really well, it is divide everyone, make everyone really angry and hate each other and blame each other for the ills of a wider society. Like you mentioned the cost of living crisis earlier, right? Yeah. During the peak cost of living crisis, that year when it really went up mad, right? During that time, Tesco's made an additional 863 million than they made before that time. And I think even since then, I think it's come down slightly. But in that time, they made 863 million. But people are blaming like some like maybe they're saying, oh, it's immigration, it's people coming across on some boats, or it's this or it's that. It's that they're making so much money.
Yeah.
Like the prices didn't need to be as expensive as they were.
No.
Like they just like a recent example is tomato ketchup. It's £4 a bottle for Heinz, right? But you can get like the Tesco's or Sainsbury's equivalent for £1.
Yeah.
There's no reason that the Heinz one needs to be £4 and the Tesco's one's £1. I mean, you're not telling me they put a £3 extra of prime ingredients in their one. It's because they know that generally people will pay it.
Yeah.
And that's been the same all through this. It's like they can put the price. Businesses were doing quite well, so businesses paid their staff more. The staff then went out and paid the higher prices, and who creams it all off? Tesco's, whoever, at Sainsbury's at the top.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bad mark of society where we're not helping and supporting each other and blaming each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing for me.
Yeah.
I think it's seeing that when things are tough, rather than trying to solve it, we look for people to blame. And I think that's one of the issues. And yeah, I say the UK, but probably the Western society. But you know, you're going to go off and expose yourself to other cultures. And do you having travelled, do you find different cultures take that differently? I once heard something about, you know, our life is very comfortable here. So when things get tough, actually, we don't deal with it very well. But in some cultures where life is really, really tough, they end up surviving in like earthquakes and things like that because they're much more resilient.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if some sort of natural disaster happened here? Like, I can't even think how people would cope with it.
People panic if Costa's out of their favourite milk.
KFC's run out of chicken for a couple of weeks. Oh, God. What are we going to do? And it's strange, like, how culturally different places are. And so Thailand's a really good example. We spent 5 weeks in Thailand, and it kind of gave us a good feeling for what the vibe and the country's like. And there's a couple of key points. One of them is if you think back historically to when we were kind of cavemen and women, right? So we would have gone out on that day thinking, right, we need to get some food today, because that's pretty much all you needed then. There wasn't really anything else to get. So we need some food. All right, let's go and get some food. It's probably going to take an hour or two, right? So we go and get our food for an hour or two. The rest of the day was sat with your friends. It was chatting, and you were kind of just talking and like learning and doing whatever they needed to do, right? But getting that connection, that social connection, that was the key big thing. The work bit was a really small percentage, like going out and getting a few berries and nuts, right? Maybe hunting something if you wanted a bit longer. What they do in Thailand is they'll do this thing where they kind of have a figure in mind of how much they want to earn that day. So whether that's £10 or whatever, right? Whatever they want to earn. So if you go to a tuk-tuk stand and you say to the guy, right, I want to get you to take us to this temple, and have a look at them and then bring us back here. He'll give you a figure for how much he wants that to get for that, which, I mean, we'll get into the bit of the haggling and negotiating of what's reasonable and not reasonable, because obviously to them, the money's completely different as it is to us.
Yeah.
And I think the best way for me to pitch that to someone who doesn't travel as much is pay them whatever you are happy paying them, whether that's the daily rate that they're expecting or not. If you're happy with what you've given them, then that's what you should give them. Like, if you can afford to give them that, then give them that. And I don't mean be extravagant and give them loads, but I mean, there's no, you don't need to be arguing with them over like £1 or two.
I know. Yeah, when for you, that's it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah. So for example, say you negotiate a price with him that's £10. Yeah.
Yep.
So you'd go, okay, £10. He'll go, yeah, fine, let's go then. So you get in a tuk-tuk and you go off to the first temple, and you're like, oh, okay, so how long have we got here? And he's like, well, just have a look. Like, go and have a look at it. And when you're done, come back. I'll just be waiting here. And you're like, what? Like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, just go and have a look. And we're like, okay. So you go off and you look at it, and you look over. He's strung out a little hammock in the back of his tuk-tuk, and he's like laying back, kicking back in his tuk-tuk, probably having a smoke or something. And someone will walk up to him and they'll say, oh, sorry, can you take me to so-and-so? And he'd go, no, I'm working. You're like, So then you come back and you see him still sitting there. He's like, yeah, okay, you're off to the next one now. And you get in and you go to the next one. He does the same again. Like, he's just like, yeah, wait. Whereas if that happened in this country, for starters, you would have to be back by a certain time. It'd be like, right, you got 20 minutes here and then you're back, right? Then if someone comes and asks him to take them somewhere, he'll take them.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's another few quid. And he'll be like, right, I'll take them. I'll get back, and then we can go and then we'll get back. He won't be there. We'd be like, oh my god, like where's he?
Yeah.
And then he might show up again at some point and take us on to the next one. But so they'll do this thing where they know that what they need for the day. Yeah. And as long as they're getting that, quite comfortable with it, and they'll give you like really great service. And then you think, so are they just doing this because we're like the tourist pound sort of thing?
Yeah,
like, is it just to get that money? But then you see them interact with each other, and they're just so helpful. And oh no, you take him, like whatever, like someone else will be along in a minute. Like there's no like cutthroat, every man for himself sort of thing.
Aye.
It's just a really supportive way of doing things, and it does lean back to that whole, because they'll quite often be chatting. So you'll see the tuk-tuks all parked up, and they're all just chatting and having that social side of things, and they're getting the money they need for that day, but they're not chasing that additional, or if I can make another £10 here or another £10 there, I can do this and do that. And I think that's part of what I'm kind of looking for, is that slower pace, and the time scales in those countries just work completely differently. So there was a cafe on a beach in Koh Lanta in Thailand, so kind of down the south. And when I first went in there, it just blew my mind from a Western point of view, how they operate. Like all the people that you've had on, like talking about going in and talking to leaders about how to improve productivity and stuff. Right, this story. So you go in, and there'll be a queue of like 3 or 4 of you, right? And you're number 3, right? So the first person wants a banana milkshake and a slice of cake. Yeah. The second person wants a strawberry milkshake and a pan of chocolat. And then I'm there and I want a banana milkshake and a slice of cake, right? So they'll talk to the first person and say, what do you want? And he says, I want a banana milkshake and a slice of cake. So they'll go, okay, great. So they walk round to the counter, get the slice of cake, cut it with a cake slice and that, come back. Then they'll go, banana milkshake. So they make the banana milkshake, get the bananas, put it all in, make it all up. Then they'll go, right, okay, what does the next person want? He wants a strawberry milkshake and a pan of chocolat. So they'll get the machine, clean it all up because it's just had banana in. They'll clean all the cake slice because they're getting the pan of chocolat now. So they do all that, and then they'll serve the next person. They'll go, right, okay, so there's your strawberry milkshake and your pan of chocolat. They go to me, what do you want? Oh, I want a banana milkshake and a slice of cake. Right, okay. Back round to the front with the cake slice, cut the cake again, come back round, clean all the machine up because it's not strawberry, it's banana. And then go, there you go, like call me in and give me, and it takes ages, like an hour, like probably half an hour waiting for that order that I put in. And it was so strange because everyone's in such a rush. And I was thinking about it, like, what's it matter? Like, why does it matter how long it takes? Like, I'm not in any rush. I'm on holiday. I was on holiday at that point. It wasn't I was rushing to get to work or anything. Right, I'm on holiday. And it's just, I'm on a beach as well. So you could just sit outside, kick back. You could wait inside where the air conditioning was. And I just thought it's so Western of me to think the quickest, like what is the quickest way I can get we can get this served? Like you can get through and done. Like you look at the checkouts now, like the thingy, like racing through, trying to do it. Haven't got time to talk to the person who's going to scan it all through for me and have that social interaction. And it's a different way of life. The timescales, like there'd be 3 people at the petrol station. So you pull in to get petrol. There's a guy who fills the car up. Then there's another person who'll take the money off you. And then there's someone else who stands there just seemingly to just watch them and chat. Yeah. But it's great because everyone's working, but it's social. Like, whereas you think over here, you don't even see anyone at the petrol station now. You just pull up, put your card in, get the fuel and drive off.
It's amazing, that story, actually, because I almost had an identity, and I was almost judging myself as you were telling me. Because yesterday, bank holiday Monday, went down the beach, walked along the seafront, let's get some ice cream for the kids. And we were in this ice cream place, and I saw them operating, and I was looking at the queue, and I was thinking, it's bank holiday Monday. you could really make some money here,
Yeah.
but you're incredibly slow. And there was literally one person being very slow making ice creams, but someone just standing on the till, ready to take your money. But because there was like a 5-minute gap in between everything, they were literally just stood there. And I was like, this isn't very productive.
Yeah.
I reckon if you moved that round there. And in my head, all I was thinking about was, how could this place make more money by selling more ice cream? It was I didn't have anything to get, I wasn't rushing off anywhere. What did it actually matter that I was waiting for this ice cream? I didn't need to get back for work. I was just getting an ice cream and we sat and ate it and had another wander along the seafront. But in my head, it did default to, this isn't very productive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're programmed to think like that. Like, definitely in the industry I work in, it is, how can we get more?
Yeah.
Like, this is great, but can we do more with less? Like, and that's the key. Is like, how can we make more and more and more money? Like, it's always driving that more and more and more money. And I think that shareholders do that a lot. So I think having shareholders, when you ultimately, the person at the top of your business, you're not answering to them anymore. Like, you're answering to someone else. Like, and I noticed that with one of the guys you talked to recently, where he was talking about his investors, and he was going, I'm effectively, he said it jokingly, he was like, I'm effectively unemployable and I can't work for anyone. And then he was like, but we've got all these investors and these stakeholders. And I was thinking, like, you're definitely working for someone. And I think he said it himself, like, and it's funny, like, he'll do his best to try and make that a success because of the type of person he is.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's still working for someone else. Once you bring that shareholders and stakeholders in, investors, you lose a lot of autonomy. Whereas I think in Thailand, I think there's a lot more, and a lot of other Asian companies as well, there kind of is still that sense. And I say Western as if China's not obviously massive and doing all the business things as well. It's probably not the right term now. But yeah, they're definitely doing something where they feel a lot more like how things would have felt here in the past. Like, where you'd go to the baker and the baker was the man. He didn't have someone above him saying, oh, if we take this ingredient out of the bread, we'll save X amount and probably be able to make more bread and it will last 3 days longer. And there's a great guy in St. Leonard's who has the bakery down there, Maker and Baker. He makes the bread, and how it works is he makes the best loaf of bread he personally believes he can make. Yeah. So if he was going to eat it, this is the bread he would eat because he's making perfect bread. And then he sells it, and it costs what it costs. It's not the cheapest loaf of bread, but it is an incredible loaf of bread. But he ultimately has the power and control to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas someone else will say, oh, well, you might need to change this or that because you're going to have to reduce the price so that you can sell 100 loaves today rather than 70. He just bakes what he can bake and then sells them all. And when they're gone, they're gone. Yeah. And I think we've lost that, like, in this country a lot in terms of being in control and what we can do and can't do. And part of going away is trying to get that back.
Talk me through the plan then. What's going to be the plan for the next couple of years?
Okay, so the loose plan to start with, we've got 6 weeks in Morocco. So Morocco's somewhere we go a lot, but we are heading to everywhere other than Marrakesh because we generally go to Marrakesh. So we're starting in Tangier, working down the coast, through the desert, and then back up through the insides. Then we come back briefly to pick up our drone because you're not allowed to take a drone to Morocco, which is helpful. And then we fly to Bangkok for 2 months. So we've got 2 months, and that's where we're going to really we are now living abroad. Yeah. So Morocco's a bit of a summer holiday.
Bit of a holiday. Yeah.
And then with some work thrown in as well. And then Bangkok is we're living abroad. And then we go to Sri Lanka for, I think, 2.5 months. So we've got a month in one place, then we move about a bit, and then we come back to the south to do a turtle sanctuary. So again, you talk about educational, 2 weeks at the turtle sanctuary, like helping the turtles, harvesting the eggs, releasing them into the sea, and obviously everything that comes with that. So calculating the sizes, counting them, all those things. And Jax is going to be really heavily involved in that and learning from that. And then we're probably going to go to India via the Maldives. Is the current plan. You can do the Maldives cheaper by staying off the main islands. Yeah. The local ferries are like 70p to get about. So yeah, probably the cheaper end of the Maldives, which is still going to be incredible, manta rays and blue seas, and then on into India. I think like west coast and up into the mountains.
I mean, that's quite the trip. I mean, if someone was thinking of doing this themselves, they've heard all of this. I mean, where does someone start? Is it just trying to get some savings together? It's such a Western thing to say, but
So savings are key. Like, we couldn't do this without savings, and I think that's a really important part. And probably the best bit of advice I've got in terms of if you instantly want to boost your savings, so that we had to do that. We had 10 months to do it. Sell everything, almost everything, right? There will be stuff that you will have that you haven't touched in like 2 years, maybe more, right? A good example, probably a really good way of exampling this is cookery books, So you'll have some cookery books at home that you once cooked 1 or 2 recipes out of, you quite liked. You subsequently went on to buy other cooking books. You never really opened them anymore. So say those cooking books cost you £10. People think that if they then sell those cooking books for £2, that they've lost £8 on those cooking books, right? But the reality is, the minute you bought it, you lost the full amount of money. So if it was a tenner, you lost your tenner. So now, if you sell it for 2 or 3 quid, you are making 2 or 3 quid. And I know it sounds crazy because people think, well, you're not, you're losing the difference in between, but you've already lost your 10. You spent it ages ago. So you're making 3. And that was, so we did boot sales, like every other weekend we'd do a boot sale. And everything we sold was stuff that was probably going to go to the tip anyway. Like when we left, it wouldn't have been any point paying to put it into storage or put it in the loft or whatever. So everything we sold at boot sales, Vinted as well is great. And again, it follows the same adage. If it's been in your wardrobe for 2 years and you haven't worn it, it doesn't matter how much you paid for it when you bought it, just sell it. Whatever you get, you're like making money. And I get why you wouldn't want to do that if your plan is to sell that for 3 quid and then go and buy something to replace it that's going to cost you 50 quid. Because you could just wear that thing that's 3 quid. But when you've got a goal in mind, like when your goal is, we're going to go traveling for 2 years and we need to save as much money as possible, then it becomes so much easier to just bring that money in, whatever it is. I've got this old IKEA unit. I'm not using it anymore. Like, I don't need it to keep it. I'm not going to put it in storage. Yeah, it might cost 50 quid, but if we get a tenner for it, that's another tenner in the pot. And that's kind of how we looked at everything. And we were both really on the same page with that. It was a bit harder for me. I tend to be a bit more like, I'm sentimental about that potato peeler or whatever it is, right? I've used that potato peeler for 20 years. But yeah, like Beck was very much like, no, let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. Like, let's just, the more money, the more money. And then there was an opportunity for overtime at work. So not only did we do a bit of overtime, it was like, we'll work till midnight and then we'll get up at 6 and start again and work through like the next day. Like, we hammered the overtime. And I think when you've got a goal, when you're like, we want to save for this particular thing, everything's so much easier. If it's just like, oh, I probably could do some, but I don't know. Like, and a lot of people are like, yeah, but you've got to live your life as well. And we did live our life in this last year. Like, we went to the Balkans for a few weeks. Beck and I went to Marrakesh. It wasn't like everything was on hold because we were hammering all the money into this.
But you were focused. You had a goal.
Yeah, we were focused. Yeah, and we had a goal. And like frivolous spending, like Beck's biggest extravagance is that she gets a haircut like every 2 weeks. Like, whereas you've got some people who are saying, well, I need £300 a month on clothes and X amount on this and that. And it's those. And what they've done as a society is they've created this world where everything's a micropayment. So everything's like a £5 or a tenner. Like, if someone said, right, you can have Netflix and it's great, you can watch Netflix, right? But it's going to cost you £300 a year and you got to pay all £300 up front. No one's watching it. But when they go, oh, it's $19.99 a month, everyone's suddenly like, oh yeah, I can probably 20 quid, I can probably afford that. So I'll do that. So I'll have Netflix. I'm like, oh, okay, well, there's this other one, Disney. And that's like all the Marvel films and Disney and Star Wars. So you could have that. That's another £150 a year. But I'll tell you what we'd do. We'd let you have that at like £10 a month. And you're like, oh, okay, so now it's 30. And then they're like, oh, and then Amazon Prime, because you can't, it's easier to get all your stuff delivered. And you can't wait for it. Like, you need it to come the next day.
Obviously.
So you can pay that. That's another 90 quid a year. But we'll do that at like $7.99 a month. And then you can get your audio books from here at X amount, rather than just once or twice a year going and buying a book. You can just pay up, or your Kindle, for example. You can have Kindle Unlimited for another £8 a month. You're like, oh yeah, this all sounds all right. Before you know it, you've subscribed your car insurance. You can pay that monthly. Like every bill you've got, you can pay monthly. And before you know it, you're spending an absolute fortune. Like almost all the money you've got coming in is going back out. I'm not saying we don't do that. That is exactly how we live.
No.
But
I've done it. I've looked through
track.
my bank statements thinking, where does my money go?
Yeah.
And I looked through and I'm like, well, there's nothing really big and extravagant on this. What am I? But it isn't. It's just lots of £20.
Yeah, brand new cars. So I mean, when we were growing up, no one had a brand new car. Like it was crazy to even think anyone that we knew could afford a brand new car, like parents or whatever. No parents had brand new cars. There might be of your mates. Maybe there was one whose dad did something a bit flash, and he'd have a new car. But generally, no one had new cars. You look now, almost everyone has a new car. Like, and it's because it's so easy. It's like, oh, we don't have to pay anything up front, and then it's a couple of £100 a month, and you're like, oh yeah, I could go a couple of £100. Yeah. And before you know it, everyone's got a new car, and that sort of thing has permeated everywhere. Whereas I think, again, in the rest of the world, it's not really like that. It's very much like make, do and mend. It's not about just going and buying something brand new. So the key savings things are sell everything that you don't need. And I think that's a great metaphor for life anyway. Yeah. We carry too much around with us. I mean, even better, don't buy it in the first place. Yeah. That's got to be the key thing. But if you have bought it and you don't use it, sell it. And then the other thing is about pots. So the way we budget and what works really well for us is at the start of every month, or we did this like once, but it sort of works for the start of every month. You calculate what you're going to spend that month on each individual thing. Yep. So for petrol, say, I know that roughly in a month, I was spending £120. This was probably like pre-COVID. So I have an account or a pot on, you can use Starling or any number of the bank accounts, but Starling do it particularly well, where you just have £120. When you get paid, you put £120 in for petrol, right? And then you might have another pot, which is the groceries. You know you're going to spend £500 that month on groceries. So you put the £500 in that pot. And then you just live within those pots. So when you put petrol in your car, it comes out of there, it comes out of there. But what that does is once you've set aside everything you need for that month, it's the day after you've been paid and you've got X amount of money in your account, yeah? Even to the point where you set aside a pot for activity. So we might have £200 a month, which is going out and doing things at the weekend, yeah? So once you've done all that, you've then got this X amount left and you take that and you save it. That day, it goes into the savings pot. Because what I see a lot of people do is they go, oh, okay, so we're going away and we need to save some money. So what we're going to do is anything we got left at the end of the month, we're going to save. Yeah. And you won't have anything left. Because you'll just see it and you'll just be spending it and spending it and spending it. And then it's gone. Yeah, we live to our means, don't we? And if you actually take the money out and move it about, I often see it related to like toothpaste. You get the new pot and we just, get as much toothpaste. When you get to the end, you're squeezing every little bit out, aren't you? And tiny, little tiny bits. You're squeezing it out because that's all you've got left. And it's the same with your money. If you can get yourself down to the final week of the toothpaste, actually you'll make it last. Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. Like with the money, like put the savings away. And then if you have got anything left at the end of the month, like say you haven't spent your £500 quite on your food, either move it across or leave it in. Because I mean, there might be a month where you want to spend a bit more than 500. And if you've got the money there to do it, you can. And I think that sort of budgeting works really well. I saw someone the other day who was saying they're a big online Instagrammer and they were talking about how they save and how they budget. And she said, and last month we spent £387.42 on food. And then she was like, so that left us with this. And then we put it in. And I was like, you're already going wrong. Like your food budget shouldn't be, it's just whatever we spend. Set yourself a budget and just stick to it. Yeah. Another thing I've seen people say, what I do is I budget £300 on food. So we'll do that. And then we'll do like another £300 on takeaways. But like your takeaway needs to come out of your food budget or it doesn't really work. Budgeting has been massive for us, and we're currently like looking at all manner of things. And one of the things we might do is we might sell a kind of budgeting tracker. We're gonna track everything we spend while we're away. Yeah. So we've got a sheet that does that, which I've built, which I'm just finalising at the moment, and then Beck's going to put out, where you will track it all, and it will reference against a budget, and it will tell you what you've spent in each town, what you've spent on kind of groceries, what you've spent on breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then there's a separate one for like alcohol. Obviously limiting that. That's quite a big expense while you're away. But that'll be another revenue stream, is selling those sort of guides and talking about what we spend in each place.
Yeah, I guess, as you travel, you're able to sell this knowledge, the info and the things that you gain, and, because you're bound to make some mistakes along the way, and you're bound to find out some little hacks and tips and tricks, and actually be able to give that information or then sell it on as some sort of digital product or whatever. Actually helps fund you being able to do more of it, and I guess learn more and then create more of these guides.
Yeah. Well, one of the families we follow put up something the other day where they said in their year away. And that's the other thing. They talk a lot about gap years.
Yeah.
Like gap year this and gap year that. And I think that's kind of the difference between us, is that if we can make this last, then this could be sustainable.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people, it is categorically, I'm coming back in a year, I'm coming back in 2 years. And if they spend 50 grand, then it doesn't matter, because they're going to come back and then they'll start earning again. Yeah. But whereas we're trying to do it as frugally as we can from the start. And this particular couple we saw, they said they'd spent, in their year, they spent £17,000 on flights, and they spent £35,000 on accommodation, right? And then the next day they put up a piece of content that was like, these are our accommodation cost saving travel hacks. And we were like, maybe you should have like done a few of them.
Yeah.
Like before you spent your 35,000. And I think that's where we're coming from, is we want our content to be as honest and as relatable as possible. Like, we don't come from this place of like tons and tons of money. And if we spend everything we've got in the first 6 months and had to come home, like, that would be like devastating. Like something that's gone massively wrong if we do that. So all our content is geared up to be as honest and relatable as possible, as it possibly can be. And yeah, that's our niche, I guess, is that you'll see everything.
I guess just quickly, you said you work in finance anyway, but whether someone's saving for something like this big trip away, do you think generally people should have a better understanding of what they're spending? Because I'm not the best, so I'm certainly not here one to lecture, but I do try and have a little bit of a budget and a little bit of an understanding. And like I said, I went through my bank statements and I'm like, there's no big expenses, but actually it's all those little things. Do you think people having a bit of knowledge of what they're actually spending, whether they're saving for, to buy a property, or whether they're just want a backup, again, it's always said you're meant to have a few months income put aside, and it's a ridiculous figure, but the majority of people don't.
I think the stat is something like nearly 80% of people, were they to get an unexpected bill of £300, wouldn't be able to pay it. So yeah, the answer to your question is categorically yes. Everyone should have a better understanding. But where does that come from? Who teaches you? Like, there's no school class which is like, oh, this is how to like sort out your finances, and this is what you're going to need to do as an adult. You just get to 16 and just go and get on with it, mate. It's there's got to be a better way of teaching people how to manage their finances. But then it's like a bit of a police state, and you can't tell me where I am and aren't going to spend my money. Like, I can do what I want with that. But I do think it would help, and it's difficult. It becomes difficult in a couple where you've got your finances are your finances, their finances are their finances, and or even worse, like your finances are your finances and your finances are also their finances. Yeah. There's all manner of stuff. Like when you've got one person who's the sole breadwinner, the other person's raising the family, and how does that work with the money crossing over and stuff? It's really difficult to get it right. What's worked well for us is I have never really had an interest in money, and I think that's because I'm so bad with it. Like terrible. So how we've always worked it is when I get paid, I spend on all the bills. So as soon as I get paid, the next day, all my money's gone because I've paid every single bill we've got, right? And then whereas Beck, she saves. So she then takes her money and saves it all. Yeah. So when we go out, like if we go for dinner or if we go on holiday, there's not, oh, you need to put in your half, you put in your half, and then that's covered. It's very much like I pay for these things, she pays for those things. And I think as a couple, you need to be aligned. Whatever your system is that works for you needs to be joined up and you need to work together. You can't have, I heard of someone the other day who he likes to go out for a drink, right? So he'll go out of a weekend. He earns a lot of money, right? But he likes to go out for a drink. So he'll go out and he'll spend like £2,000 on a night out, right? And think nothing much of it, right? But she'll see it ping up on the credit cards and be like, oh, he's gone out and spent £2,000. So she'll go out and buy a £2,000 handbag to like counter the spend that he's getting. And I think there can be a lot of resentment with that, especially when you think the other person's not buying things that add value to all of you.
To the relationship.
To the relationship or the family or whatever. And I think that's key is making sure that whatever your financial plan is, it's joined up, you're on the same page, you're both working towards the same goal, you value the same things. And I think that's something that we do really well. And I think other people could do better, or perhaps even do better, but so a lot of people probably don't. So I think being joined up as a couple, and you're right, that budgeting, if you haven't done your budgeting, do it now. Like, just get a spreadsheet up or a pen and paper.
Yeah.
Write down everything in the last month that you spent, like the last calendar month that you spent money on. Because it's quite predictable now. The months generally follow each other. And just circle anything that is this has to go out. So then draw that out. And then everything else is basically, I didn't need to spend that. Let's look at where I could cut that down or what I could save from that. And then, or if it's coffee, say you really like coffee, right? And you buy coffee every day, which thank God we don't, because we don't do it. But you see people go out and that's another £4.50, £5 a day on coffee. That's a lot a month, isn't it? £5 a day on coffee. Jeez, that adds up. So then you could say, right, so I spend like 70 quid a month on coffee, right? So next month I'm going to try and spend 50. So I'm going to set aside 50 quid to buy my coffees, and perhaps I'm not going to have them on, like, I'm going to go have a coffee every other day.
Yeah.
And even just doing that and being aware of it would just really help you to just boost up your available pot at the start that you can put into savings.
Yeah, I guess it's having that awareness as well, isn't it? The understanding what you're spending, what you need to come in. Just knowledge on your finances. Because, it can be a scary thought, can't it? That you suddenly do get a big bill and you're like, how am I going to pay for that? I haven't budgeted. So, lots of people think, live life. But actually, that causes a lot of stress. Yeah. And actually, it'll make your life much, much easier knowing that if that 300 quid bill comes up, actually, you've got the funds there to cover it because you've been putting some aside.
To tie it back into one of your previous podcast episodes, someone said that life is about the journey, not the destination. Yeah. And I get that. Like, I do get, and that's part of why we're going away, is that it's not going to be that thing that fixes us or whatever, or we'll be happy if we do this. It's every day is going to be incredible while we're away. Like, just seeing different places each day and slowly moving through, experience what it's like to live somewhere. But to equate that to this country, and if you said, life's like the journey, you need to make sure that day isn't going to suddenly go wrong. And how that day doesn't suddenly go wrong is you've got that 300 quid set aside in case something does go bad.
Yeah.
So it kind of works both ways. Save your money so that you can do that thing in the future that you think might make you happy, but also have it there just in case you need it for something on any given day.
Oli, thank you very much for your tips on that. Wish you all the best with your journey. I'm going to keep following. Going to make sure your social links are in the description below, so I'd encourage anyone to go and follow you.
Yeah, please do.
Follow you over the next couple of years, and let's get you back here in 2 years' time and you can tell us all about it.
Let's catch up while we're away.
That sounds a plan. Let's do a remote one.
Thanks, Matt.
Cheers, mate.